Hi, Mike Mulligan. I got my window open. Boy, I can hear them spring birds out there. They're singing a sweet song out there. But anyways, I am a whistleblower. I worked at Vermont Yankee for 13 years. I was a reactor operator, a licensed reactor operator for many years. I raised a whole bunch of issues at Vermont Yankee. And you know me, I was in submarines, on a fast attack submarine. So here we are. We're going to be talking about Pilgrim and the SRVs. We're going to be talking about the veracity of LERs, of documentation, of federal documentation at the Pilgrim station. And I mean, this is so disgusting that it's unbelievable that they're allowed to get away with things like this. So, you know, like Pilgrim had 2 shutdowns over. They installed brand new valves in 2011. They had 2 pretty quick shutdowns because of the leaks. Their first shutdown actually, their first leak that caused them a shutdown actually wasn't their first leak, it was their 3rd leak. And then they had like the total of 6 or 7 or 8 leaks over the course of 18 months. A host of power restrictions and all that type of stuff that was going on at Pilgrim. They treated it. They gave us enough information that it was a one-off. This is just surprising with Pilgrim plant and stuff like that. You know, we kept seeing eruptions in their disclosures of new leaks and all that sort of stuff, really without any explanation of what was going on there. And we know that this was from the get-go. Before the first leak at Pilgrim, there were a host of other plants were having terrible problems, and identical to Pilgrim as far as leaking, installing new safety relief valves, and then they immediately start leaking, then they repetitively start leaking, and all that sort of stuff. And you know, a host of problems with multiple valves being involved, common mode failure, more than one valve, more than one safety valve at a time, potentially all of them being affected and stuff. And so that was even before the Pilgrim plant demonstrated leaks. And so any competent engineer would sit there and look at the historical record, and there'd be a lot more sensitive to, if it occurred at other plants. And this was the first time it showed up at the Pilgrim plant, right? And they should have documented such and stuff like that. So anyways, that's what I wanted to kind of show you. And let's get this is the first LER. So the first LER it's dated, it's February 23rd, 2011. So I don't know when, probably a month after that, a guy like me actually could see it. But see, this is the event occurred on December 26, 2001. They never cited it. They never decided it was a event until February 23rd, 2012. And it's probably a month after that we got it. We seen it in the public sphere and stuff. And so, it talks about, pilot valve leaked. Pilot valve. What's a pilot valve? Stage 1, 2, or 3? I think the pilot valve is stage 1 and stuff like that. So, it just talks about the first stage relief valve, the SR, following the shutdown, RV3D was repaired with a new pilot valve, and the plant was returned to full operation, right? And stuff, and it didn't disclose in this LER that there was 2 prior releases. There was a leak 2 weeks after the start. There was a leak within a week or 2 weeks after the start up of this plant with these new valves, and then 6 months later it had another leak, and then the third time it got caused them to shut down because it got so bad. And the root cause, the SRVs were purchased, new, installed, and tested for the first time in May 2011. Joint team of Wild Labs, Target Rock, and Entergy Engineering are working together to disassemble the plant. And so this is 2 weeks, 2 months, maybe 3 months after the event occurred. And the event occurred the 26th of December. So February 22nd, right? They're getting down to do an investigation. An investigation is ongoing and stuff like that. And it doesn't say when it's going to complete it or anything. 3 months after the event, they know that there are other events, problems throughout the industry with 3-stage target rock relief valves, and they haven't had they had 2-3 months, and they haven't had it. They haven't moved heaven and earth to send it out to different actors to come down with a solution. What was going on there with these valves and stuff like that, considering they were at other plants. Do you see what I'm saying? You would think, these guys say, oh, well, this is a industry problem, and we're going to extremely expedite the investigation of this because we want to understand what's going on here immediately. And and the idea that there's a problem here, and they basically started that plant back up, not knowing what the problem was. They replaced. That's just the nuclear safety. It's reckless to do. It's okay to start a plant up immediately after an event happened, as long as you know what happened, and that part is fixed, or that person is fixed, and stuff. But to sit there and you're out 3 months of the accident, and then you're discussing, some distant investigation is ongoing, la-di-da-da, let's take our time, it really doesn't matter, yeah, the plants have had big problems with them, but we're not going to rush around and immediately get an investigative result of what caused these valves to leak. You know what I'm saying? And then, there were... this is the first leak, right? We know. I explained a little bit about all the different leaks in here, all the leaks, different leaks going on in the industry, and later leaks. This is the first one. Well, actually, this is the third one, but this is the first disclosed one, and the other 2 were kept secret. There was no previous first-stage leakage occurrences with these safety relief valves, since all 4 safety relief valves were newly installed in the April-May 2011 refueling outage. However, the industry has experienced leakage with other target rock model safety relief valves at other plants, right? And then they give you, other models, right? The assumption is, these words are important, and definitions and being specific is really important, especially in a federal document and stuff like that. Of course, these are treated as comic books with all the employees, because they're just hilarious how inaccurate they are. They're creatively humorous in bland language. It gives the outsiders the implication is that there's been other leaks. There's been many leaks on other models, this is the first leak so far, so don't worry about it, you know. And then it goes on to talk about Pete's bottom, unit 3, then it talks about 3-stage safety relief valve pilot leakage above normal operating pressure, you know. Doesn't talk about the specifics of that. Then it goes on, you know, it's just sending signals, you know, that it's not the 3-stage model, and they're throwing a couple of little breadcrumbs out there that there are issues with, you know, 3-stage relief valves to their buddies if they happen to read it, you know, kind of cue them in on the, you know, on their special language that, you know, it's more than just 2-stage relief valves. It's these guys, brand new relief valves also. So you get that, right? And then, you know, in the beginning it doesn't really even talk about, well, are they, well, a pilot stage. It was a pilot stage was leaking type of thing. So, but you're not sure if it's a pilot stage. Well, they said it's a pilot stage or a second stage, you know, and stuff. And, you know, the assumption is you're going to report all leaks, right? No matter if it's the pilot stage or the first stage or the second stage. All leaks are supposed to get reported. All deviations from normal are supposed to get reported on these things for the historical record, and if you use these in any other engineering evaluations. In other words, if you have a incomplete LER and you got a problem 3 years from now and stuff, it's invaluable that you record all the information on there and the results and all that sort of stuff. And so it'll help you on the new problem. You know, if it has a similar new problem, then it helps you troubleshoot it and fix it correctly the next time, instead of always, you know, playing the same tapes over and over again, of looking through everything and, you know, wasting time. So that's the first stage. I mean, that's the first LER in in February 2012. Like I said, you know, as far as we know, this is the first leak, according to when this was released. That was the only information on the outside. This was the first leak, but actually there was 2 prior leaks to it that they never disclosed. And so let's go take a look at. Okay, we're going to go take a look at the new LER. This is the brand. This one's the brand new one. And again, you know, the time frames is pretty interesting. The event date was 1/20th, the second scram, the second shutdown, right? They reported it. They decided it was an event 3 months later on on March 21st. Then probably a month or 2 later we got the information and stuff. And so, you know, like again, the idea that, you know, there was a lot of issues with 3-stage relief valves. There was a lot of they must have talking to their vendors like hell, and the vendors must have Target Rock must have knew what was going on. You know and why Target Rock didn't report on it accurately is a question to be asked. So there was, before the first leak at Pilgrim, there was a host of issues at other plants, right? And so they're playing the la-di-da, it doesn't matter, we're not going to, you know, investigations are still ongoing game, you know, investigations in perpetuity, into the infinite future, you know, just constant state of investigations, never having to disclose what the results are. It goes on here, and so what's going on here? So this one's a little bit more honest. It talks about the different leaks and all that sort of stuff, and then, like I said, this is when remember the first one I said there was no leaks. This is the first time we get a hint that this was reported after this was shown to the outsiders after the plant was shut down and safe from any requests for immediate shutdown, except for me. So on May 18th, a week or 2 weeks after the startup of that plant, with these brand new valves, new car smell is still in there, all that sort of stuff. Never even got the first oil change, type of thing. SRV May 18th, and then November 25th, and then 2 months after that, of course, is when they were forced to shut down and stuff. SRV 3C second stage pilot valve minor leak was observed. SRV. See, now what you're getting here is they emitted on that first LER. This is the third LER actually on these leaks. That it was the first stage or pilot valve leak. So they actually had 2 leaks on that valve, right? They actually had 2 components that were leaking on that valve. This was the third. That first LER was really talking about the third leak. So they admit here that first leak included a second stage pilot valve minor leakage. I don't know what a second stage pilot valve. A second stage pilot valve, and then that first LER said it was the first stage pilot valve that also leaked. So you had the first and second stage pilot valve, right? And so again, right, that first LER gives you a set of incomplete information that a sober person would say, oh well, this is just the first leak of these guys, of these valves, and there's no big deal. We'll just wait until they figure out what's wrong with it, and give them a benefit of the doubt that they know what they're doing, and we won't hound their ass until until more events show up and stuff like that. But that impression was only created because they gave you a incomplete set of facts, engineering facts, right? They didn't tell you there was 2 other leaks. They didn't tell you that there was a first stage pilot valve leakage and a second stage pilot valve leakage. They didn't tell you that it was a host of other plants, especially a lot of plants first starting up with these new valves were pissing and leaking and all that sort of stuff, and having to suffer through a cycle with more leakages and all that sort of stuff. And so you see what I'm saying? So it gives you that idea that it was a one-off, when really these guys knew that it was a disaster of massive proportions as far as maintaining the quality of these valves. So on December 26th, they replaced the D, the C, so they tell you the first stage, and then they replace the C, and they replace the D. So they replaced 2 valves on the 26th, right? On December 26th. And then on January 20th, the second to shut down, the pilot valve was replaced with a refurbished. The pilot valve was evidently, so that guy only had, see, and you see the garbage language, the pilot valve, the first stage valve, they're not using one term, they're screwing it all up and not being specific and stuff, and so it's amazing. So the pilot valve leak on the second LER. On February 3rd, the first on the during that outage of the MIMO trip, the 3B first stage valve was replaced with a new pilot valve and returned, and that was sent to Wild Laboratory. Right? So, you know, and then, like I said, you get into these and then you get into, you know, they're talking about, you know, all the different plants, right? And the third thing on the second LER, they start talking about all the different events that happened prior to Pilgrim plant leaking and stuff like that, which was contrary to what was said in the first LER and stuff like that. So, you know, I mean, there's, you know, like the first one said there was no other leaks on the first LER. They said there was no other leaks, and then on the third LER it says there was the first LER, there was the update, and then the second LER. So actually there was 3 LERs. So on the third LER, it admits that there was 2 prior leakages they didn't report on that first LER. And it's like I'm saying, you know, somebody that's keen to reading documents, NRC documents and stuff like that, you know, you could read a lot into that. Like I'm saying, and the first impression is that it's a one-off. You know, ignore it. Wait and see if there's other events before you open your mouth and stuff like that. But the reality underneath it was the industry as far as 3-stage relief valves is on fire. They don't know why the components are failing like they are. And you know, safety consequences. You know, they talk about core damage frequency of less than. You know, I don't believe. And then the even though they, you know, are required to shut down when it's plus or minus 3% tolerance. It says 8.8%. It's 3.8, right? 3.8. And listen to this. Listen to this wording garbage, right? And stuff. 8%, 0.8% below the 3% garbage, right? It's 0.8% above the 3% limit tolerance, right? It's not below. It's above. It's 0.8% above the 3% tolerance, and they say in this LER, you know, it's 8% below. If it was 8% below the 3% tolerance, it wouldn't be reportable, and it wouldn't require a shutdown. But you know, I'm just saying, why are these so inaccurate and stuff like that? And some issues is you know, you're out in the hinterlands as far as a engineer working at a dinosaur nuclear power plant. 90% of the equipment is, you know, 1960, 1970 vintage. Certainly, you know, some of the stuff might be new, but it's essentially a copy of 1960s technology, more or less, and stuff like that. So, you know, it's not like working at a computer chip factory and you're an engineer, you know, type of thing, or engineering cell phones and internet and a computer engineer type of thing, right? These are mechanical and electrical and you know nuclear engineers, and most of this stuff is obsolete and getting more obsolete as time goes on and stuff. And so, you know, really, the best and the brightest, they're not going to want to yearn to go into a nuclear power plant. You know, they probably don't pay a lot of money, relatively, and it's not like you're being challenged with the best, newest technology available, and you're talking with your buddies at different plants, and you're all talking about what's new coming out, and you know, thinking about the future and what's new coming out, and desperately trying to keep up to the new cell phone technology, new computers, CPU technologies, and how people are using this shit in new ways and creative ways and stuff like that. No, these engineers are, you know, are faced with a dinosaur of equipment, and how to maybe use dinosaur equipment in creative new ways, or reverse engineer an old component. I mean, that's their thrill, is they get to reverse engineer what was invented in the 1960s. But that you know, trying to get to the point is, this is a lot of this isn't the best and brightest of the engineering crowd, and stuff like that, usually. And I don't think they really get a lot of engineers that volunteer to go to a nuclear power plant. Certainly, the obsolete equipment and stuff creates a shortage of engineers, because, like, who wants to go to these old nuclear plants? Because, you know, I'm not going to be challenged by new stuff. So, you know, and that makes it, you know, the not too smart ones, you have to pay an extremely lot of money in order to get these engineers to come to a nuclear plant like Vermont Yankees and stuff. And we just might be in problems as far as you know, getting, you know, you might pay somebody big bucks, but who knows if their hearts, and, you know, they might be disillusioned by coming to a plant like Vermont Yankee, because, you know, there's nothing that really challenges and stuff like that. So I suspect that that's what's happening with these LERs. They're probably the guys that write these are, you know, second string type of thing, and it's a very rare breed type of thing. They probably have a large turnover of engineers. I know in different reports they have had problems in Vermont Yankees engineering department, but we're talking about Pilgrim here, right? So, you know, that's probably what's going on. So, you know, like I said, this guy emits 2 leaks. The first one says, you know, it was the first leak reported ever with these new valves, when that was a blatant lie, that type of thing. So, and then I want to just take a look at it. So this is the update, right? I already went through this, so I don't have to go into it deep. So the update is dated December 21st, 2012. Probably came out a month later, 2 months later. Again, you know, you know, the event happened on 12/26, 2/11, and probably a year later, they're writing up the update and stuff like that, you know, and you know, and they're still talking about, you know, this is when they talk about Wild Labs, Target Rock Energy, and the Southern Nuclear Company engineering staff, because, you know, Southern Nuclear Company had issues with their leaking release valves, right? I'm just trying to get down to where they say that they're They couldn't find a cause here on the update. And that the no corrective actions, and how many more leaks we're going to have. No corrective actions are recommended based on the testing, inspection, and evaluation of the leaking valve 3D by the joint team of Wild Laboratory, Target Rock, and Entergy Engineering. So that's the second shot at the first leak. And to go back to that. The first one. Holy smoky. Yeah. So now they're going back and saying, anyways, they're going to go and continue on evaluating this, right? Two leaks. Additional corrective actions will be implemented based upon the results of testing, inspection, and evaluation of the leaking first stage relief from 203B and SRVs by a joint team of, how long does it take to investigate these things? How long does it take 8 leaks and a cycle and 2 shutdowns? And what kind of rinky-dink operation is this? And they still haven't figured out what's wrong with these valves. And then you look over a host of other companies, Hatch, the Southern Company, and a lot of their different leakages of many years back and stuff. And they've had all sorts of Wild Labs, Target Rock, an assortment of other different companies and stuff like that investigating this, and they still can't find out what's wrong. Obviously, there's probably a bellows thickness irregularities or something in the springs that are keeping these valves shut. As far as the thickness, and so they're not. This stuff isn't. I don't know. They're having a hard time with set points and stuff like that. What I'm trying to say here is that from somebody with a professional perspective and looking at these documents, it's utterly disgraceful. They contradict each other. They from professional nuclear engineering staff and expectations of how we think of the professionalisms of the nuclear engineering staff. This is horrendous honesty and full disclosure and intentional deception going on here and stuff. And again, how do you think this is gonna? This isn't just influencing the people that wrote these things. These are influencing the people that were involved in it and who read these things later on. And you can see operators reading this thing and just laughing on the floor. That it's so comic bookish. It's done with such little sophistication and knowledge of what's going on there. They're just laughing on the ground. They're so these LERs are so funny and stuff like that, and then they know that most of the internal stuff is gone off system. They're in this private. And again, if it's in a private deal, there's the NRC. A single inspector might inspect it, and it might be in there, but it's really not regulated. It's really just by the whim of an inspector. It's not by a set of codes and rules that this level of detail has to be reported, and if you don't report on it, you're going to jail, and your families are going to suffer like hell with you not having an income and stuff like that. these private off-site report systems are unregulated, and that type of thing. As far as the quality of those things, if they feel like reporting it, they will. If they don't, they won't. So that's another thing. So anyways, that's as much as I wanted to cover today. I don't know if I made myself any more clear. I mean, how many times can I go over this the same way? Thank you.